Imagine being told that with just a single drop of blood, you could test for hundreds of diseases. No needles. No pain. No waiting. Just instant results. It sounded impossible. And yet, people believed it. Doctors were curious. Investors were excited. The media was captivated. Because if it were true, it would change medicine forever. And at the center of it all was a young woman who claimed she had already done it. Her name was Elizabeth Holmes. Before the billions, before the headlines, before the scandal, she was just a girl with ambition. Elizabeth Holmes was born on February 3, 1984, in Washington, D.C., into a family where influence and achievement were more than expectations, they were a way of life. Her father, Christian Holmes IV, held high-ranking positions in federal government agencies, including roles in the U.S. Agency for International Development. Her mother, Noelle and Doust, worked in the health sector and encouraged Elizabeth to be curious and driven. From an early age, Elizabeth was exposed to a world where networking, reputation, and strategy were everything. As a child, Elizabeth was precocious, intensely focused, and remarkably disciplined. While other kids played, she analyzed and planned. While others dreamt casually, she envisioned a future that would leave a mark on the world. Her parents recognized her ambition but could not have foreseen the extraordinary, and at times dangerous, drive it would fuel. She skipped grades, excelled in science and math, and showed an early fascination with chemistry, biology, and the mechanics of the human body. Holmes was also captivated by the concept of influence. She admired powerful leaders, people who could shape industries and ideas. She observed carefully, mimicked behaviors, and internalized lessons about control, presentation, and persuasion. She once told her family that she wanted not just to succeed, but to become a billionaire. That desire was more than monetary, it was symbolic. To her, wealth represented power, autonomy, and the ability to leave a lasting imprint on the world. In high school, Elizabeth's ambition became more defined. She joined science clubs, participated in research projects, and read obsessively about entrepreneurship. She was not content with small achievements. She wanted to disrupt. She wanted to innovate. And she believed she could do it. Her intensity, however, sometimes alienated peers. She was seen as enigmatic, her ambition bordering on obsession, but it was precisely this combination of brilliance and drive that would set the stage for her future. Elizabeth enrolled at Stanford University, one of the most prestigious academic institutions in the world. Stanford had a culture that encouraged innovation and risk-taking, a place where students became founders and ideas became companies. It was there that Elizabeth's vision for Theranos began to crystallize. She observed the inefficiencies in medical testing, the long waits, the discomfort, the prohibitive cost, and began to imagine a radically different approach. She asked herself a simple yet audacious question: what if blood testing could be done with just a drop? A tiny drop could provide comprehensive results, faster, cheaper, and accessible to millions. It was a revolutionary idea, and it captivated her imagination. Holmes immersed herself in research, devouring textbooks, medical papers, and emerging technology studies. She was relentless, working long hours in labs and questioning every aspect of existing procedures. At 19, she made a life-altering decision. Holmes dropped out of Stanford and founded a company called Theranos, a name blending therapy and diagnosis. Initially, Theranos was just a vision. There was no proven technology, no functioning machines, only an idea and an intense belief in its potential. But Holmes had a rare talent: she could inspire belief in others. Her confidence was infectious, her presentation flawless. She could sell the future in a way few could resist. Holmes targeted investors not for their scientific acumen, but for their financial influence. She pitched to former secretaries of state, billionaire venture capitalists, and tech moguls. She told stories of revolutionizing healthcare, of saving lives, and of creating a legacy. Her charisma worked. Money flowed in. Millions first, then hundreds of millions. Theranos grew at lightning speed, offices multiplying, employees swelling, and a valuation soaring to $9 billion at its peak. Holmes became, on paper, a billionaire. The media embraced her story. She was framed as a visionary, a young female founder in a male-dominated tech world. She was compared to Steve Jobs, adopting his black turtleneck and minimalist presentation style. Her deep, controlled voice, her deliberate pauses, her calm yet assertive demeanor, all crafted an image of a founder who was both competent and revolutionary. Investors, journalists, and the public wanted to believe in her, yet inside Theranos, a starkly different reality unfolded. Engineers and scientists discovered that the technology was inconsistent, unreliable, and sometimes entirely non-functional. Machines failed tests. Data didn't match outcomes. Attempts to correct errors often led to more complications. Employees became fearful. They were pressured to maintain secrecy, signed non-disclosure agreements, and were warned against speaking out. Whistleblowers were marginalized or pushed out. Theranos continued to operate boldly. Deals were signed with major pharmacy chains. Blood testing devices were installed in real clinics. Patients received medical results based on technology that was not validated. Lives were potentially at risk. The pressure to maintain appearances and valuations grew with each passing day. The company's internal culture became one of fear, secrecy, and uncompromising loyalty to Holmes' vision, but secrets eventually unravel. Investigative journalists began asking questions. Former employees shared experiences. Documents were leaked. Questions that no one dared to ask publicly were posed. Was the technology real? Were the results accurate? Could Theranos truly do what it claimed? The answers were devastating. When the story broke, the world learned the truth. Theranos technology did not work reliably. Investors had been misled. Patients had received inaccurate medical information. The company had built its empire on a foundation of deception. Media praise turned to scrutiny. Investors demanded answers. Partnerships dissolved. Valuations plummeted from billions to virtually nothing. Regulators launched investigations. Lawsuits followed. And Elizabeth Holmes, once lauded as a prodigy and genius, now faced accusations of criminal fraud. Her trial became a spectacle, dissected in real time by the press, discussed endlessly on social media, and scrutinized by the public. Every decision, every statement, every email, and every meeting was examined. How could a company built on a single idea reach such heights? How could so many brilliant, experienced investors, executives, and board members fail to notice the truth? The answer was not simple. It was about trust, charisma, and the power of belief. Holmes had sold more than a product, she sold a vision, a future people wanted to believe in. For years, that belief was enough, until it was not. The verdict came, guilty. The rise was extraordinary, the fall absolute. Elizabeth Holmes lost her company, her fortune, her reputation, and her place in the world she had once captivated. Her story became a cautionary tale about ambition untempered by ethics, about charisma overriding scrutiny, and about the fragility of trust. Holmes' story is a study in contrasts, brilliance and hubris, vision and delusion, ambition and recklessness. It reminds us that no matter how compelling the story, no matter how convincing the persona, the truth matters more than the dream. Innovation without transparency, charisma without accountability, ambition without integrity, these are not paths to greatness. They are paths to ruin, and there are lessons here for all of us. Question the extraordinary. Verify before you trust. Recognize the difference between vision and delusion. Understand that belief alone cannot substitute for evidence. Success is not measured merely by perception or valuation, it is measured by honesty, impact, and sustainability, because in the end, the most powerful thing in the world is not money, or technology, or even innovation. It is trust. And once trust is broken, everything else collapses. Elizabeth Holmes rose higher than almost anyone imagined. She captivated the world. She promised miracles. And when the truth emerged, the fall was not just a reversal of fortune, it was a total collapse. Her story serves as a warning to entrepreneurs, investors, media, and the public alike. The higher someone rises, the harder they can fall, and the lessons from their ruin can be as valuable as the fortune they once claimed. So the next time you hear about a breakthrough that promises to change everything, ask yourself, is it real, or is it just another story waiting to collapse? Because every empire built on illusion eventually meets reality. And the consequences can be as dramatic as the rise itself. And that was the story of Elizabeth Holmes, a rise fueled by ambition, vision, and charisma, and a fall defined by deception, broken trust, and consequences that could not be avoided. Her story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that no matter how impressive someone's success looks on the surface, the truth beneath matters most. If you found this story compelling, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Rise and Ruin, where we dive deep into the scandals, controversies, and dramatic rises and falls of billionaires, innovators, and the powerful. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that shows what happens when ambition meets controversy, and when fortunes, reputations, and lives hang in the balance. And tell us in the comments, which billionaire scandal should we cover next? Who's next to rise? And who's next to ruin? Because here at Rise and Ruin, we don't just follow the headlines, we uncover the truth behind the rise and the fall.